Welcome to the fourth instalment of Question Time from Turf Business. I'm going to pass the next question on to Andy Purser. Andy, you're with Arsenal, which sticks in my throat when I say that, but there we go. I wanted to call you something else, but there we are. Would you like to put your question forward, please?
No. Over recent years, we've seen a significant increase in the use of autonomous machinery. Do you see this becoming the norm as technology evolves, or are you firm believers in the human factor?
Okay, so can I just clarify, by automation, you're talking about robotic mowers, line markers, that kind of thing. You're not talking about the software programs that help you manage. It's actually the stuff that does the physical job. Yeah. Okay. Who are we going to throw this one to? Okay, let's go to Danny first. You want to come back on that one?
Okay, thanks. I think it's a great question, actually, and I'm actually positive and all for anything that can help us. All of us will always say that we're lacking in staff and equipment, so anything that can financially fill that void cost effectively is great. However, I always think the difference with the human factor is you need cognitive thought processes, and our job, whether we know it or not, relies so heavily on that thought process, and an autonomous machine can't give you that at this stage. Every single person that is watching and is around these panels has got so much wealth of knowledge in their head and how they're processing, problem solving, planning. I think it's a great tool, but do I think it will put people out of jobs, etc., etc.? No, I don't. I think it will always help us, not hinder us.
Okay. Lee, you've probably got the biggest variety of surfaces and probably close on to the biggest acreage. Might be touch and go with you and Andy, I think, but what's your view on this?
I think we've seen certain things come a long way, like line marking, for example. There's a few versions of different robotic mowers out there. I think they have a place and they're good, but I do worry about, I have them in a demo that there is slight issues with GPRS and trees, X, Y, and Z, and if something does break down and you've still got to go out and fix it or do the work regardless, I would probably like to start seeing more battery or hybrid machines first, and then look at where we really need to go down them lines of being automatic and not. I think the jury's still out on me because I like to have a feel and get out and see what's going on. But I suppose line marking's a good way to start it off and move it forward.
Okay. Andy Gray, with a huge facility there up at St George's, are you using anything that's automated at the moment?
We do have a little Husqvarna automated mower just to cut one of the small banked areas around the hotel. But there's a robotic sort of mulching mower as well for the steep banks. You do have to control it yourself. It's remote control, so it is
right
human operated, but it's a sort of remote control thing. But and that's all we have. Yeah, I totally agree with Lee what he just said. It does have its place in certain areas. Save time. It can save, I say, somebody's job, which is not what we're essentially looking for. But as a business owner, if they can pay for a machine to do a job, sit in the shed and essentially not answer you back, that's what some people would look for, unfortunately. And again, some businesses they don't necessarily look for who's doing what job and what salary people are on, they just look for head count. So if they can chop a head out and put a machine in, then unfortunately I think that they might look at that as favourable. But I've never had anything at Southampton, and so that's all we've got at St George's Park. I have been contacted recently about the automatic white liner, and I've spoken to a few of the guys that already have them. And to be fair, they do sound promising. It was a case of, if you're a site like ourselves, 10 pitches, you'll cut 1 or 2, set up the white liner behind you, and it can simply be painting the pitch while you're on to the next one cutting. So agreeably, it does have its place, but I do think we have to be very, very careful with it.
Okay, so ideally you'd like to see them enhancing people's roles rather than saving jobs.
Essentially, yeah.
But there is a danger, I guess, that, with the tough times that we're talking about going through, that might be a focus on, losing headcount and replacing that with a machine, which I guess most industries have gone through in some way, shape or form.
Indeed.
Paul, are robotics and automation things that you're looking at in golf?
A lot of golf clubs probably are. I agree with Danny actually, and a little bit with Lee. I personally still prefer the personal touch, but I think once these companies start doing it, it's almost inevitable that it will come through. When we were talking about youngsters and diversity and all the rest of it, the weird thing is it might attract a different type of greenkeeper in the future that will like to play with computer programming and doing all that sort of software stuff. So some people won't like it. The guys, for me, they love hand cutting. That's one of the joys that they get out there. They like being on a mower. That's what they like about the job. If you replace that, and they can do other work, I don't think it will replace the numbers, but you will have to do other kind of jobs, and they might lose the joy of what they've been doing. It's getting used to something new, but it could bring in a new breed of greenkeepers who are going to be more computer programmers. I mean, I can see it coming in. I think in my time, I will witness all the cutting being done by autonomous mowers in the future.
Gary, automation in cricket?
We can't afford it. No, I mean, like I said, I totally agree with Danny. Lee said, everybody across us, if it enhances our job and, can help us, then use it. But if it has a negative impact on staff levels, and, then for me, I wouldn't, be honest with you, I wouldn't even look at it. But them things do worry me, that people above me do look at it, see it at another club, see it used, and it's just, maybe we can do that. So, yeah, it's not really coming to cricket yet. I don't know anybody in cricket that does use them. But yeah, that's probably where we are on it, really.
Okay. Andrew, there's another side to this as well, which is there are other things other than just automatic machinery. There are programs and software systems. So I'm going to throw that open as well, if you're okay with that. Perhaps if I come back to, I'll come to Lee on this one, actually. Lee, there's things out there like Grass Pro, for instance, that can help you manage your workflow, your staff, what you've used. Have you had experience of any of those type of things, and do you think they have a value?
Yeah, I have. I mean, I've not used that one, but I've used another, and I think for managing holidays, budgets, applications, do have a good benefit, and you can program yourself in, so you haven't got to have a written diary and you left it at home or lost it. So I think all that has a good benefit to running a department, and especially if you're out for the day, like today, for example, and you can put things up and get messages across, are very, very handy. So I do like that side in terms of management. And for me in the office, it's ideal.
Okay. We should. Craig, actually. Where's Craig gone?
Yeah.
Is that kind of software program more common in golf? Because I think it's something that has been coming into other areas, and the big boys possibly in the grounds care side. Is it something you've used?
Yeah, we're starting getting more into software side of things. We've recently just had 3 GPS sprayers installed into the course. So yeah, a touch of a button, I could look up and see what the guys are spraying out in the course, much chemical they're using, things like that. How many hours the tractor's done. It's all good management tools. I probably will come more and more into the greenkeeping side of things more in the future. I suppose everybody will start using that eventually. Tracking where guys are, how many hours they've done on certain jobs, just things like that. You know, it makes management a bit more easier.
And you know, going forward, Andy, do you think this will ever change the need for highly skilled groundsmen? Do you think we're going to get to a point where the machinery tells the guy and the software tells the guy what he needs to do, or is he still going to have a degree of skill to go, I know what's going on there, or I know who to ask about that, perhaps?
You're always going to have the human element to it, because like with any cars these days, the more technological they are, the more that can go wrong with them, and someone is always there needed to fix it. So Craig just mentioned about the GPS sprayers. We're in the market for one ourselves at the moment, and yeah, it was the sprayers of the GPS were sold heavily on the golf background, and we simply said that we're in football spraying green rectangles, so it's not difficult, to be honest. But in golf courses, when you see diagrams of overhead shots of golf courses, it's like, wow, the shapes and the sizes and the undulations is unbelievable. So again, has its place, but you know, maybe who's to know, 20, 30, 40, 50 years time, it will be completely different. But in our lifetime, I think, well, you always need the human aspect, because there's always something that's going to go wrong with something, and that will be a human that fixes that. Yeah.
Andrew, did you have anything you wanted to add on that?
I think you covered pretty well. Thank you all.
Okay, great.
Martin, sorry, can I just jump in, if that's all right? One of the things with, as you've mentioned, software packages, etc., one of the things that I always try and sell, and if there's anyone that's coming into the industry, why are these so important? I think everybody that's looking into this will say that the job of a grounds manager or head, their role has changed drastically over the last 15 years, and you now have to communicate effectively to those across different platforms. For example, accountants, as an example, health and safety, and all these software tools, they help you, in effect, generate a report which can speak the language that they understand. And I think that all that does is help you. It helps your case if you're trying to pitch for a budget, because instead of you just saying it was wetter or it was drier, which means nothing, you can actually say, look, this is the impacts, the financial, the labor hours, etc., and it's such a good tool for guys coming in. I think you should be using it.
Okay, good point, Danny.
Nailed that right on there, Danny. You nailed it there.
Okay.